Okay guys, I've made it across to the little island. Derrick's way down here, just running my usual dropper rig. Hooked up guys. If he starts catching fish, obviously I'll head down there. He's pulled up a, looks like a nice snapper. Just got a little nudge there. Yeah, just got listed off. Okay guys, I'm back down where Derrick is. He's got a snapper and a cartwhite to take home. Welcome to Reel Kiwi Fishing. This week I'm back out with a surf cast with Derrick. What I've done was the other night I jumped on Google Maps and I was having a look around Manukau, sort of up in the shallows and the mud flats, and I spotted a little set of rocks that I want to try and get across to. There's a little channel that cuts off the main channel and sort of goes out in front of these rocks here. If we can't make it across, the tide's going out and we'll hopefully get close enough to maybe make the channel. I'm not too sure. But today's more about a bit of a scout mission. It's quite bright and it was really just to come down to see if we can get across there. When's the best time to actually come and fish here? Obviously it's going to be the low tide, but you know, it's quite bright, so we might need to be here early morning, late evening. Being the Manukau, it's quite murky and stuff like that, which is good. But yeah, also this spot here goes up into the mangroves up here, and there's a little opening up there that sort of heads up into the mainland. So what I'm hoping is more that maybe that incoming tide, the fish will come up here in that channel and then sort of spread across into these flats, probably more in that late arvo. So what we'll do is we'll just have a real good scout today, have a good look around, and then when the tides are perfect for that late evening or an early morning mish, we'll probably come back, give it a shot. Hoping we'll get onto some snapper. Probably not today, it's quite bright and stuff like that, but hey, you never know in the Manukau, it's a very fishy area. But yeah, maybe even in that sort of winter time, might get a lot of gurnard and stuff like that sort of coming up out of that channel and mooching up and around these mangroves and stuff like that. So yeah, plan today is just to have a little bit of a scout mish, obviously flicking a few baits around and might luck a few fish with my mate Derrick. So hope we get into a few fish. Hope you guys enjoy. Okay guys, I've made it across to the little island. First bait out. It's actually pretty much dead low tide. Derrick's way down here. He's basically on the little sandbar that goes out, and the channel runs up here and the main channel goes up that way. So he's just sort of fishing where it sort of veers off, where that little channel veers off. He's actually been getting a few bites. I saw his rod sort of buckled over a couple of times, but I thought what I'd do is come over here and give it a nudge as well while he's down there. If he starts catching fish, obviously I'll head down there. I'll probably catch a few fish, he'll probably head up here. But I thought while I can, I'll come out and I'll get onto this little island and have a go. The bummer thing is it's obviously dead low, so that channel's probably not that deep, and it'll be pretty cool to actually fish here on that incoming tide into the high tide. Not too sure if that rock sort of sits out of the water, but what I'm thinking I might do on another little adventure is bring the kayaks. I've got a double kayak or couple, and we might chuck our gear in and then come up here onto this rock and actually fish it through that high tide. Basically standing next to that rock there, it's over my head, so it's head deep here, and the further out you go, it's obviously going to double that. So I would say probably out in front of us on that high tide might be a good 3 to 4 meters if we're making that channel. And the other good thing is if I come up on the kayak, obviously I can go out and test the depth as I go, so I can figure out where that channel is. Might bring a little buoy just to plonk it in, might even drop a burley on it, but it's more to just drop a little anchor buoy for when we're fishing up here to know where that channel actually is, so we're not actually even casting over it. So at the moment I've flicked it out as hard as I can, maybe 100, 110, 15 meters, and I might actually be casting over that little channel. I've actually got my other rod back there, but I might sort of like a couple of 100 meters away. I'll just stick here, try a couple of baits, try one out real far, get no bites. I'll cast sort of half, and I don't even know, that channel might even only be sort of maybe 20-30 meters out in front of me. So yeah, come and have a little nudge on the little island here, see how we go. If Derrick starts getting fish down there, I'll obviously head off down there. If I get a few here, he might end up here. So yeah, so far it's been a pretty cool sort of little scouting mish, and like I was saying, Derrick's had a few bites down on that corner, so we'll see what happens. Just got a little nudge there, and Derrick's actually yahooing down there. He's pulled up a looks like a nice snapper, not huge, but looks like a snapper shape. What I might do is just do a couple more baits here, just had a little nudge, and if he catches another one I'll probably head off down there, but just had a little nudge. So rather than just pack up and head over, you know, he might only luck the one, and then I pack up, head down there, and nothing happens. So it's always good to stay put. Had a couple of little nudges. He's caught a fish. If he catches another one, probably head down there. But what I'll do is I cast it out as far as I could. Like I was saying, I've done about around 100 meters, and what I'll do is my next bait I just won't chuck as far, maybe sort of do that 60 meters. There's a little bit of a tide line running down here, so it's not that far out, so I might be a little bit too far out. The other thing too, where Derrick is, now that it's low tide, that channel probably opens up a little bit more down where he's sitting, and it might be even a little bit deeper, so fish might sit down in there in that entrance of the channel on that low tide, wait for the tide to turn and then swim back up. So we'll see if he gets another one. He has had a few bites, more than what I've had, but like I was saying, today's more about prospecting, so I've got to give it a good nudge, give it a good go here. But it's definitely fishy. There's not a lot of stuff on the rocks here, it's all just sort of mud, but there'll be fish in that channel going up and down, probably more like I was saying in the afternoon. So I think coming back here with the kayaks and fishing through that higher tide would be a real good thing to do. So I've got no bait left, it's gone, so I'll bait up another half a pilly, just using half pillies. Just running my usual dropper rig. Though there's not a lot of current here, I'm still using breakaway. It's not a strong current, and it probably will pick up as that tide turns. It's only a 4 ounce. I'm not needing to cast miles and miles, so rather than chucking around too heavy a weight, I've just downsized to a 4 ounce. It's just half pilly. Give it another shot. Now this time what I'll do is I won't cast out as far, just in case I am casting over that channel. I did get bites on that quite far flick, but it's always worth trying a couple of closer in ones. That's why it's good having that second rod. Cast one out as far as you can. And then the other one you can just sort of chuck in closer, and you have those two different distances, and one might work better than the other. And then, you know, if you're getting more fish on that further cast, you cast both out as far as you can, and then if the other one's getting the bites and catching fish on that one you're not casting so far, and obviously you change over, you're just not casting both as far. Derrick's actually got a couple of rods down there, and I've got my other rod over there, but I'll wait till I gotta go back over towards Derrick and I'll probably set up the two. But yeah, he might be sitting down where that channel sort of just runs down in front of me and opens up. It'll open up and then the main channel will run sort of that way, and the fish sometimes will sit down in that front of that channel. Sometimes it's a little bit deeper, and obviously a lot of food will be going down that channel, and they'll just sit there sometimes and pick it off, or they'll just sit there and wait for that tide to turn and then head back up. Hooked up, guys, to the first fish. Feels like a carway, which isn't too bad. Might give me a bit of fresh bait if the snaps come on the bite. Yep, just a little little carway. There you go. It's a little carway for some fresh bait. Which I might actually carve up now. So I've been getting a few little nudges, little bites, pulls, which actually feel like gurnard. So what I might do is actually chuck on a bit of fresh carway, see if that changes anything. I don't want to catch a stingray. Obviously the bait's going to stay on a bit longer, but pretty keen to try a bit of fresh bait. We'll use this down there on that incoming tide. I'm going to have to get off here at some stage, and I'll end up down where Derrick is, and we'll be fishing that incoming tide. This is when this will really come into play. Okay guys, I'm back down where Derrick is. Derrick's just sitting, he's probably about 400 meters down that way, more towards that entrance. Set up the Soul Surf 8K reel. I'm just going to run a one of those suicide hooks. So pretty much just going to leave this alone, cast it out, leave it alone. Got the kōtare up there, so might go and wind the kōtare up and check the bait. I was setting up the Soul Surf up the back there, so I might have got a few bites. But that tide's coming in now. My Soul Surf was sitting out of the water, it's coming in. So we're just going to sit tight here and see if those fish come back on the bite on that incoming tide. Great thing is it's now overcast. It's gone quite cloudy. We do have quite a strong sort of southwest, not strong, sort of around that 10 knots, 15 knots. So got a bit of a bow in the line, but that's a good thing about those breakaways. You can sort of run it a little bit tight. So yeah, got the Soul Surf and the kōtare running now, and let's just see if those fish come up this little channel again on that incoming tide. They should. And the cool thing is it's a little bit later in the arvo now, it's around 2 o'clock. But yeah, I think if we suss out the tides to come back here, maybe around get that lowish tide around sort of 5 o'clock, fish those first couple of hours into dark, and we might do quite well. And I think getting on the kayaks and getting out to that rock on that higher tide, be quite nice and deep out the front there. So yeah, we'll see how we go. Hopefully pick up a couple of snaps on that incoming tide to make the little prospect mish a bonus, a couple of bonus fish in the bin. Derrick just got busted off. Said he got busted off before. Do get sharks and stingrays and all sorts in the Manukau. Go and have a look at his snapper ring. We'll see what he was all yahooing about. Did it let go? Or even a kingy.
Big tool. Found one for stingy.
Where's your snapper, man?
Oh yeah, mate.
Show us your snap.
Not bad, eh?
Yeah. So this is the little bay here. The tide's going to go right up there, and it'll obviously get a little bit too deep for us to sort of walk right out. But we might sort of get back to about where those birds are, keep walking to about sort of knee deep, thigh deep, keep casting. So we've probably got about another, might even get about 40 minutes before we're sort of back there. But yeah, it's quite cool fun coming out fishing the mud in some of these harbours. Something a little bit different, a little bit of fun. Derrick's hooked up. It's like just a little fella, little kahawai. It's alright.
Bingo.
Snapper and a kahawai.
Okay. Try to beat this again. Come on. Again.
There you go, just a little kahawai, which Derrick won't mind. Probably chuck it in the smoker. He's got a snapper and a kahawai to take home, which isn't too bad. Just hoping we might pick up a couple of snaps on this rise of the tide. It's coming in pretty quick. Probably only got about maybe half an hour. Had a few little nibbles here and there, and then it's gone quiet again. And that's the thing, sometimes what happens is fish might come in on that back end of the tide. They might sort of come up around that mid tide or near the end of the high, mooch up a couple of hours up the back there, and then come out with that outgoing. But also a lot of spots that I fish, sometimes you don't get fish on an incoming, you get them on the outgoing, and vice versa, on the outgoing, not the incoming. So it could be a spot like that, who knows. That's why you go out and prospect, see when the best tide is, when the best time. But Derrick did get that sort of, that nicer snapper. Would have been probably a couple of hours before the dead low. So like I was saying, they might sort of head up in that late high tide, up the back feed, and they sort of just stay up there and come out sort of 3 or 4 hours on that outgoing. Well, pretty much going to call it, guys. Tide's come right in. Going to get cut off on the corner there, so we're going to head back. Didn't get too much in the way of fish. Got a couple of kahawai, and Derrick got his snapper. Had a couple of nice bites, but seemed to be a little bit more fishy on that outgoing tide. And that's what this prospecting kind of gig's all about. It's coming to try and figure out when's the best tide, time, could we get to the rock and stuff like that. So basically what I got out of it is it could be really good on that sort of get here around that highish tide, fish that outgoing, and then the other thing is trying to get onto that rock on the with the kayak. But as we've been pushed further back, we're further and further away from that channel. Maybe in that late evening, coming into dark, you know, the fish could come up out of that channel and come up onto these flats. So we'll just keep prospecting this spot. We'll have another couple of shots, different things, try and get that tide. Maybe try that tide even on the dead low around that dark time. Fishing sort of that incoming on that dark time. And we'll even try lining it up with that sort of dark time around that, maybe a couple of hours going out. So 7 o'clock, a couple of hours, it's already gone out, and we'll just fish sort of into the evening. Derrick seemed to do quite well down on that corner, got the snapper, and I did see his rod sort of buckle over a couple of times. So it's worth coming back and definitely having another shot. We'll have another couple of different times of the day to fish, and then we'll try and really suss it out and come back and do a couple of good sessions. I'm pretty keen to get onto that rock and fish it through that high tide. I think that channel gets quite close to that rock, and like I was saying, if we're there over that high tide, it's going to get a lot deep. It's going to be about 3 or 4 meters in front of us on that rock, and that's all you need on these harbours. Fish will come right in there, especially if you line it up with that evening. So yeah, until next time, tight lines.